Today we're going to show how we can take an existing model that is working and training as we would like, and how to save the state of the model so that we can use it in a separate script. This is called checkpoint. We're going to start with a file that contains a neural network with some simple accuracy reporting. If you're interested in creating a file that does something similar to this, you can check out the previous screencast. To give you an understanding of what this does, let's run the script. As you can see, what happens here is that TensorFlow trains our model to be able to make predictions, and it does so with relatively decent accuracy. The final model is 60% accurate. Let's say that we've done that, and we would like to save our model and use it somewhere else. Maybe we think that this is perfect, and we want to put this into some sort of server, maybe TensorFlow server. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a saver variable. This is an instance of the saver class, and it is the main way that you save variables in TensorFlow. We're passing one option here, which says that we want to keep 100 checkpoints. Once we've initialized it, we're then going to add in a step at every sample reporting point, where we're going to save our current session to the model.ckpt file. The global underscore step variable here is a variable that the TensorFlow saver uses to name the file. The ckpt file extension is the standard name that you use for TensorFlow checkpoints. One thing you'll note here is that TensorFlow saves the session. TensorFlow doesn't save individual variables. What that means is that TensorFlow, if we call the saver in this way, it's going to save a copy of every variable that's in our current session, and it's going to save that graph to file. Once we have that, we also want to save the final version of our model. So we'll add a call to saver.save at the end of our model. This one we'll call final-model. .ckp. What's going to happen is that because we hit the reporting checkpoint every 10 steps, this is going to be called 5 times throughout the course of running our script. As you can see, there are no ckpt files in our current folder. Let's run our script. Now, let's see how many ckpt files there are. So let's note that there are 5 here, 1 for each time that we called the saver.save. What you'll notice is that there's actually 3 files for each checkpoint. And so that's because TensorFlow has 3 separate files, each containing the information about each check. When you go to use them, which we'll cover in a future screencast, all you need to do is refer to them as the model.ckpt-o with the appropriate path, and then it'll automatically work. We'll cover that in a future lesson. One thing to note is that the max to keep variable is very important. If we were to change that to only have 1, you would see that TensorFlow would automatically overwrite our checkpoints as we run them. This can be very helpful if you're running a model which trains for a large amount of time. I have trained models that run for several weeks, and in that case, you might want to have a checkpoint every day, but you only want to keep the most recent one for the last 3 days, and then if you have a particularly interesting result, maybe you'll copy that one, but you don't want to store everything. Let's see again, and here, we only have actually 1 that's kept. If we change this to 6, you'll see that all of our checkpoints are kept. Here we have each checkpoint for when we have the reporting step and then the final. That can be very useful for long-running models.